This is Terrence R.J. Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions, coming to you with an article I read from the economiccollapseblog.com. Titles always get my attention. 15 signs that the American economic depression is accelerating as we head toward the holiday season. And it's constant communication. In terms of communication, I'm meaning everything out there is really purporting, again, and I understand, to holidays are here, let's try to be happy, let's get back to normal. This articles like this put a sobering reality of where we're at, and changing your mindset and thinking in terms of, let's look at things differently and let's really prepare. 15 signs American economic pressure is accelerating as we head toward the holiday season. Hardly anyone expected things would get this bad in 2020. Once the pandemic hit and states all over the country started instituting lockdowns, economic activity collapsed dramatically. U.S. GDP was down 31.4% during the second quarter of 2020. And that was a drop without parallel in all of U.S. history. Okay, that's a sobering statistic right there. Again, I'm going to put this link inside the description so you can take a look at it yourself. In fact, the decline was more than 3 times as large as the previous record, but eventually states started to open their economies, and U.S. GDP for the third quarter is expected to show a significant rebound when the numbers are finally released. Of course, we still aren't even close to where we used to be, but at least things weren't as bad as they were in the second quarter. But now, as the fourth quarter begins, it appears economic conditions are heading back in the wrong direction again. The following are 15 signs that American economic depression is accelerating, and as we head toward the holiday season. They haven't called it economic depression again, but I've done some other videos where this is the second economic depression, and if these stats right here is going to even prove it. Even for all 546 Regal cinema theaters in the United States are being shut down, and right now there's no timetable for reopening them. That's powerful in itself. It's a lot of cinemas, a lot of jobs with that. Number 2, it is being reported that the AMC Entertainment, the largest movie theater chain in the U.S., will run out of liquidity in 6 months. Run out of money in 6 months. Wow. Number 3, over the weekend I was told by someone that works in the industry that he expects movie theaters in the country to eventually close down permanently because of this pandemic. I'm hoping this is not the case, but damn. He has clickable links here so you can check where he's getting his sources from. The average rent on a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco is 20.3% lower than it was 1 year ago. That's actually a good thing, but maybe not for people who actually rent out. But this is good because California has some of the highest expensive for rent and real estate in the country. During the third quarter, the number of vehicles delivered by General Motors was down about 20% from a year ago. Number 6 is reported that Anheuser-Busch will be laying off 400 employees in Loveland, Denver, Littleton, and Colorado Springs. Allstate just announced that they will be laying off 3,800 workers. Wow. JCPenney says they'll be cutting approximately 15,000 jobs as we approach the holiday shopping season. JCPenney's been suffering for a long time, but I didn't even know they even had that many stores open to even give $15,000 loss, but they're cutting that. Number 9, at least 1/4 of the 28,000 layoffs that Disney will be conducting will be happening in Florida. 28,000 people just in Florida alone, because Disney announced that they're going to be doing their layoffs. Wow. Collectively, American Airlines and United Airlines let 32,000 employees go last week. On 11 on Thursday, we learned that another 787,000 Americans filed for new claims for unemployment benefits during the previous week. Number 12, over more than 60 million Americans have filed new claims for unemployment benefits so far in 2020. 60 million Americans. That number is far higher than anything that number is far higher than anything we have ever seen before in all of United States history. Number 13, retail stores closing in the United States continue to surge along at a pace that is absolutely unprecedented. Bankruptcy filings in New York City have risen 40% so far in 2020. Number 15, this number is hard to believe, but it's reported that almost 90% of New York City bar and restaurant store owners couldn't pay their full rent for the month of August. None of this was supposed to happen. By now, we're supposed to be well into a V-shaped recovery that would soon have Americans forgetting about all the dark days in the middle of 2020. But instead, millions upon millions of Americans lost their jobs and are facing a deeply uncertain future. One of those Americans is an unemployed cook named Juan Jose Martinez Camacho. All right, they're doing a personal story right here. Juan Jose Martinez Camacho, 59, has been a cook for 30 years, since he was asked to fill in one day when he was working as a dishwasher in a restaurant. He has worked as a cook at the Crown Plaza in Redondo Beach, California for 22 years, when he was laid off on March 23rd. He was thinking it would only be 2 or 3 months before things got back to normal, but late last month he was notified he had been permanently lost a job which paid $22 an hour. He has been looking for the other cooking jobs without any luck. Heart goes out to him. Can you imagine doing the same thing for 30 years and suddenly be out of a job? I can't imagine that. Like most Americans, he assumed that the pandemic would soon pass, as he would be going back to his old routine. But this hasn't happened, and so he is among the millions of restaurant workers that are not bringing in income right now. With so many Americans out of work, food banks around the country have been dealing with a tsunami of demand. And previous articles I've written about the absolutely massive lines that have been seen in certain portions of the nation. In some cases, people have started lining up at 2 a.m. in the morning, and the lines have gone up to 2 miles long. And every week we've seen more gigantic lines at food banks all over America. The following is how one local news source described the massive lines that have been consistently forming in the state of Texas. Thousands of cars form tightly packed lines across the state every week now to receive food, from Chihuahuan Desert border towns and cities to the state plains of Panhandle, across the piney wood of deep East Texas town to the Rio Grande, and back cars stacked growing into steel and fiberglass caterpillars hungry. It's a very vivid image. These events have distributed tens of millions of pounds of food over the past 6 months. If you still have your job, visit a food bank during the crisis, you should be thankful for your blessings. I like that. Well said right there. Thankful for your blessings. Just like in the 1930s, we're witnessing colossal lines of food all over the nation, and this is just the beginning. If you've been waiting for recovery, you can stop waiting, because what we witnessed during the third quarter was all about the recovery that we're going to get. Now we're less than a month away from a presidential election that promises to be an incredible, chaotic, and extremely deep divisions that already exist in our nation are likely to get even worse. Many believe that this election will produce even more civil unrest, and that will likely depress economic activity even further. I truly wish the economic conditions would return to normal and that all of us could go back to our old patterns. But there isn't going to be any return to normal anytime soon. Instead, very dark days ahead, and those very dark days will shake this nation to the core. He has a new book that's coming out. Sorry to be so dim and gloom here, but this is just a sobering form of reality. Especially as we get ready to go to holiday season, where they try to get you to not think about anything else but trying to get back to some level of normal. Challenge you to do things differently, think things differently, and if you're employed and you're doing fine, great. Just continue to prepare, because things are continue to spiral and nothing lasts forever. And you always need to be at top of your finances and in every aspect of your life. If this video has been any value to you, please subscribe, leave some comments. Until my next video, I'm out.